So that's another cornchella in the books here at Iowa Speedway. Obviously not a surprise. Spoiler alert for those of you who partake in spoilers or don't try to partake in spoilers. Joseph Newgarden wins again, doubling up at Iowa Speedway. He was unable to do that last year, though through no fault of his own. I think we really need to emphasize, because I didn't really even realize it, probably because we have so few ovals now on the calendar, just how special a job Joseph Newgarden is doing right now, and what a virtuoso performance that he has put on IndyCars, on ovals. In fact, to a point where I'm curious, I'll have to look this up at some point, what was the last single season oval performance that has been this good, in fact, undefeated? And in fact, if you look back at the last 2 seasons, outside of mechanical failure, which happened here, a suspension failure, knocked him into the wall, gave Pato O'Ward the win here last year. Outside of that, the only oval track that Joseph Newgarden has not won was the 2022 Indianapolis 500. I mean, that is insane. He's won every oval track this year, and you go to Gateway, and we're kind of expecting that race to play out a little bit more like Iowa does. And Newgarden was already kind of a shoe-in favorite to win at Gateway, and then you add tire degradation into that. You add the traffic that we've seen at Texas and Iowa. Joseph Newgarden, I just want to say this, and I didn't really realize it until today. Joseph Newgarden is an absolute master, a maestro at lap traffic. The fact that he can just find the gaps, find the right rhythm. I mean, it's totally, this kind of traffic racing is totally based on rhythm, in my opinion. And for him to find that rhythm in the traffic when he's being chased down, I mean, we saw Scott McLaughlin challenge him, we saw Will Power challenge him, we saw Felix Rosenquist challenge him, and no one could pass him in the traffic. In fact, the pass that was just absolutely mind-bending to me was when Joseph Newgarden came past both of his teammates off of turn 2 down the back straightaway to take the lead, which ultimately he, for outside of pit sequence, never gave up again. I mean, it doesn't make for exciting or compelling drama. I mean, I understand that. I understand where we are, kind of desensitized to, dominant performances or dominant drivers at dominant tracks. But what we're seeing right now is just historically something that we're probably going to see once or maybe once every 2 generations. So we need to appreciate Joseph Newgarden while we've got him, because what he's been able to do on these oval tracks has been absolutely exceptional. So now that I've talked about Joseph Newgarden for a good, 4 or 5 minutes, let's actually look at the rest of the field as they finished today. Yes, indeed, it was Joseph Newgarden winning the race over pole sitter Will Power, who definitely had a better race today, but was still unable to convert the finish. Alex Palou in 3rd, and he is just the Terminator. This was not an Alex Palou track, and yet Alex Palou on the podium at the end of the day, continuing to defend his points lead. Felix Rosenquist looked like the toughest challenger to Joseph Newgarden the whole day. In fact, everyone seemed a bit confused that he was even on the lead lap at times. I mean, I know everyone's going to point out the Graham Rahal chop, I guess we can coin that, but again, I think that comes down to the Joseph Newgarden traffic dominance. Scott McLaughlin fell off big time right at the end of the race. Looked like he was going to challenge Joseph, and then he didn't. Scott Dixon in 6th position. The first car 1 lap down. Only 5 cars finished on the lead lap today. Colton Herta in 7th. You'll hear from him later. In fact, you'll also hear from 8th place David Malukas. 9th place goes to Marcus Ericsson. 10th to Pato O'Ward. Last year's winner Kyle Kirkwood is another driver we talked to after the race today. He was the hard charger yesterday and was charging as well today. Romain Grosjean was in P12. Christian Lundgaard, the birthday boy today, finished 13th. Callum Ilott 14th, Alexander Rossi 15th. Helio Castroneves had a good starting spot, but ended up finishing 16th, just ahead of his teammate, Connor Daly. Rinus VeeKay comes home in 18th. Jack Harvey continues the streak, not finishing better than 17th all year in 19th. Graham Rahal in 20th spot. Devlin DeFrancesco got into the wall in the last restart, and that caused him to finish in 21st position. Santino Ferrucci in 22nd for AJ Foyt Racing. Ed Carpenter, who started 4th, finished 23rd today. Ryan Hunter-Reay brought out the final yellow of the day by getting into the wall. Takuma Sato also hit the wall at one point, 25th. Augustine Canapino we spoke to, 26th today, but actually looked very, very strong at times. Benjamin Peterson in 27th, and Stingray Robb with that scariest incident of the day, losing that tire, but thankfully everything worked out. And let's start with that, because I know a lot of people were thinking about the incident at Indy with Kyle Kirkwood and Felix Rosenqvist, and thankfully nobody hit that tire and the tire didn't go over the fence. I mean, I think we're worried about that now. I'm a bit confused as to why the car ended up getting out of the pit lane. The crew clearly knew about it, so I'm wondering if it wasn't communicated properly how dire that situation was to Stingray. In that situation, generally, the car should just be stopped and then brought back by the crew. So I don't know exactly what happened there. Very unfortunate, but I would say very lucky for all involved that nothing else worse happened. And I should also give some credit to race control. I thought race control handled this race very well, particularly that final caution. I gave them a lot of crap, let's be honest, for the Indianapolis 500. But the way they handled this, they followed the procedure just right. They gave the fans a finish, and they didn't have to red flag it. So big ups to race control. So I talked about the drivers that we interviewed today. Let's just send it to them. Let's let the drivers speak for a little while. Okay, first I just want to ask about that incident that brought out the yellow. It looked like you just got in the marbles. I mean, had you experienced that before?
No. I was really good battling with Palou, trying to overtake him. The pace was really good, but unfortunately I pick up the marbles and go to the wall.
You were running in the top 10 at points. The car looked really strong. Did that feel great to be able to have a car that could run with the Ganassi guys?
Yeah, so I was just behind Palou. I overtook Rosenvik. I had better pace than Alex. So I think today maybe we can do a top 5, but anyway, it's a big shame because the car was good, so it's experience. I need more. It's only my first day in the type of oval, so I'm really angry with me, but thanks for the team for the car of today.
P7 for Colton Herta today. I mean, no one was touching the Penske cars, but how was it in the cockpit of your machine over 2 races this weekend?
Not super exciting, not super happy either. Today was probably like the max we thought we could get. Like going into it, we thought P7 would be a great result, so we got that. So I'm a little happy with that, but yeah, we need to figure this place out, or what should really happen is they should repave it, and then everybody can start from scratch. Because yeah, the Penske guys have this track by the throat, and we also have to run 2 races here.
So what's the deficiency, at least from your car perspective? I mean, is it shocks? Is it, tire management? I mean, what do you have to do better here to be able to catch them up, if anything?
Well, we're slower on new tires, we're slower in the middle of the stint, and then we're slower on old tires also. So we're just bad the whole way through compared to them. They can just get like that little bit more, kind of 2-3 tenths a lap, which 7/8 of a mile track, that's a big time gap. And it's not just us, it's 90% of the field. So whatever they have working is working well. 4 podiums this weekend. And so yeah, it's interesting.
Some strong tracks coming up for you, Nashville, Indy GP. I know you like those. I'm sure you're looking forward to the end of the season. Laguna Seca too, I might add. It's pretty good for the Herta family.
Yeah, no, the end of the season's great. I think what maybe ought to happen is you get Taurus to. I told him maybe you should buy this place and then bulldoze it. Then we don't have to. then we don't have to figure it out. But no, I'm just kidding. I do like this place. When the car's good, the place is fantastic to race with. But no, we do have some strong tracks coming up, and we have won at a few of them, got some poles at a few of them, so I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Gateway was a little bit of a sleeper pick for me. We're leading there 2021, have had really good qualifyings there, really good races. Really never been able to close out a good race there, though. So hoping that we can get there and have a good oval result this year.
David Malukas rolled off third today. Evaluate your day. I know surely you probably had higher expectations going into today.
Well, I mean, it really depends. These, obviously I knew going into it. I even posted on Twitter, these Penske cars, I mean, come on. They are just like not even at a track that it's like we're on Indy next, and it's like they're on another level. But other than that, it was kind of going to be interesting. We had morning warm-up this morning. It was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. The setup didn't really feel there. We made a few tweaks going into the race, but it kind of just seems like when the temperature goes up, our car ends up kind of declining a little bit in performance. And yesterday, I was a little bit more upset yesterday, actually. I feel like we messed up a little bit on strategy, and we had a good car to the rest of the people that we were around us, but for today, I think we absolutely maximized everything from strategy, from the tires falling off on what we could do. So I'm honestly not too sad from going from P3 to P8. Those guys are just on another level. We can't compete with them, but I think for us, we absolutely maximized it.
Kyle Kirkwood, it was frantic out there, I think would be the way I would describe it. Describe it from the cockpit of the AutoNation mobile.
Yeah, it was definitely more frantic or hectic than it was yesterday, mostly because only one line was available and everyone was trying to be on it. So when you're side by side, everyone's trying to fit 2 cars into 1 lane, which doesn't really work. So that's why it was so frantic or hectic out there. It was good for us. You know, we finished 11th. We had an opportunity to probably finish in top 7, top 8, kind of where Colton was. They got us on the undercut. The same thing we did yesterday. Watch behind you here. The same thing we did yesterday, they did to us and got a bunch of positions. But we were just good at end of stint, so we were trying to use that to our advantage. But people still got us on the undercut. So that was a little unfortunate. But I mean, 17th to 11th isn't half bad.
Yeah, you got the Hard Charger Award yesterday.
Yep.
Explain, because the people at home I don't think understand totally how the overcut and undercut works at a track like this as your flag tries to attack you. We're just having all sorts of trouble. Explain that to the people at home, because I don't think they understand what a huge advantage it can be if you time that right.
Yeah, so I mean the undercut works so powerfully here because you have so much degradation, meaning you'll start off a lap time and about doing 19.5 seconds, and then you're going up to almost 22 seconds. So 3.5 seconds of deg is a lot, and if you pit 10 laps earlier, which is only a few minutes earlier, you can get a lot of time and a lot of positions, but you got to give that back up at the end of the stint. But today it was super hard to pass, so everything that they got on the undercut, they didn't really give up as much because they weren't getting past because it was so hard to pass.
So it's the dog days of summer for IndyCar, and like I said in a video a couple of days ago, the races are going to come thick and fast. Only a month and a half of the season left to go. That's hard to believe, actually, because here we are in the middle of summer. It's a beautiful day out, and yet IndyCar is almost over for the season. Our coverage will continue of the IndyCar series at the Brickyard Grand Prix. Not going to go to Nashville this year, but I'm working on a way. I haven't gotten it quite done yet, but I definitely don't want this to become the norm. In fact, I'm working on a plan right now to be at every IndyCar race next year, so hopefully that will work out. Believe me, I think my coverage is valuable, so I hope that I can continue it and actually expand it and make it better from that perspective. But then it'll be on to Gateway, and then the season finale at, I almost called it Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Once again, I'm living in the past. I love Iowa Speedway. I love what Hy-Vee has done here. The fact that Ed Sheeran is about to perform behind us. I'm not a concert person. My cameraman Kyle is more of a concert person for me. But I will even admit that it was fun to have Zach Brown here. He actually played, what was that, a Beastie Boys song? Yeah, that was really cool. So you know what? The concert concept is very cool, and I'm glad that Hy-Vee's doing it. I'm glad that there's all these huge partners involved. I'm glad they built all these stands. I'm glad we're racing in Iowa because it's chaotic, it's fun, it's exciting, even when the race is a runaway like we've seen with Joseph Newgarden. But like I said before, yes, do we want it to be 3 abreast at the finish every single race? Absolutely. At the end of the day, that's the exciting high points of auto racing. But at the same time, when you have dominance and you have guys who you establish as the best, when a guy like Felix Rosenqvist kind of comes out of nowhere and challenges Joseph Newgarden, even if he doesn't beat him, it makes for compelling auto racing content. And for me, that was enough. It was an exciting race. It was a fun race, although it was a bit predictable. There's no doubt about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more IndyCar and motorsport content, and I will see you in the next video.